everyone, this is Sarah and welcome to my crochet channel. Now today we have Maximo and Rosie modeling our new ghost, scary and silly, bandanas. Now this bandana will work for any size dog or pet, and I'll show you how to do that when we get a little farther into the video. The free crochet pattern is on my blog and you can find that in the notes underneath this video. To make one of these fun ghost bandanas for your dog, cat, or pet, you're going to need some white and some black yarn. Now I made mine out of acrylic, Red Heart Super Saver in white and black, because I like the fact that it's completely washable and it washes up really nice. And you can use acrylic number 4 weight, you can use cotton, any yarn that you want to will work for this project as long as it's a number 4 weight. And the amount of yarn you need really depends on the size that you're making. These need about maybe an ounce of yarn, not very much. We're going to be using our H hook today, which is a 5.00 millimeter crochet hook. You're going to need a needle to weave in those ends, and of course sew on your eyes and your cute little mouth or nose, whichever style you choose to make. And you'll need your scissors. The pattern is written in 2 sizes, an extra small for an 8 to 10 inch neck and a small for 11 to 12 inch neck. But I'm going to be explaining to you how to make it bigger so that it will work for any size dog or pet. We'll be starting down here at the point and working our way up. Then we'll come down and do the trim and the curl, and then we'll do the ties. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. We're going to begin with our slip knot, and then we're going to chain 4 chains. We're going to begin stitching in the 4th chain from the hook, and our first 3 chains will count as 1 double crochet. And then we're going to stitch 4 double crochets in this 4th chain from the hook. So yarn over, go in that 4th chain, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over, and go through the second 2. Our chain 3 counted as our first double crochet, and we stitched 1. All right, so we're going to stitch 3 more. And this is how you begin for all sizes. You'll start with 5 double crochets. Your chain 3 count is your first one, and then you stitched 4. We're going to chain 3 and turn. Alrighty, now for row 2, we're going to be increasing at the beginning and at the end of the row. We have a chain 3, so we're going to stitch a double crochet right in that same stitch as our chain 3. Then we'll stitch 1 double crochet in the next 3 stitches. Then we'll stitch 2 double crochets in the last. And of course our last double crochet is our chain 3 that counted as our first double crochet. And we'll go ahead and chain 3. And you'll see that we went from having 5 double crochets on the first row to having 7 on the second row because we increased 1 here and 1 here. And this is how the pattern will work. We'll chain 3 and turn. We'll stitch a double crochet in the same stitch as our chain 3. We'll stitch a double crochet in each stitch across. Then when we reach the last stitch, which is our chain 3 that counted as our first double crochet, we stitch 2 double crochets. And each row will increase by 2. Let me go ahead and make my chain 3. So we went from 5 to 7 to 9. The next row will be 11, and that so on until our triangle is the size that we need for our dog. Now I'm making the extra small size, so I'm going to repeat this for a couple more rows until I reach row 7. So again, I stitched 2 double crochets in the first because my chain 1 counted as my first one, and then I stitched another one. I stitched 1 double crochet in each stitch across, and then 2 double crochets in the last. Now keep in mind the smallest size is for about an 8 to 10 inch dog neck. If you want to make this for an even smaller dog, then you don't do as many rows. You just do as many rows as needed, increasing at the beginning and at the end, and so you'll go up by 2 stitches for each row. 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, 17, and even more if you're making it for an even bigger dog. Alright, so I'm going to go through row 7 till I have 17 double crochets on my last row for the extra small size. So I stitched 7 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for the extra small size. If you're making this for a smaller dog, of course you could do even less rows. If you're making this in the small size, because I'm making the extra small, you want to repeat this for 2 more rows. Or if you're making this for an even bigger dog, do as many rows as you need for the size of a triangle for the dog that you want. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're not going to cut our yarn. We're just going to chain 1 and we're going to turn. We're going to evenly single crochet till we get down to this point. We're going to make that little ghost curl, and then we're going to single crochet back up this side. So what we're going to do is single crochet down the side till we reach that point. One of the things in getting a nice even side is to try to stitch your single crochet stitches in the sides of the stitches and not the holes. If we stitch in these holes, we might get big gaping holes. So you want to try not to try to stitch our single crochets in the sides of the stitches as we work our way down to that point. And it's more of an eyeball thing. You have to kind of watch, make sure your stitches aren't too close or too far apart. Just a nice even row of stitches. All right, I'm on this last stitch. And now I'm to that point or that chain where we started. So I'm going to stitch a single crochet, and then I'm going to chain 7 chains. I'm going to chain a double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. And then I'm going to chain 2 more in that same stitch. And now these last few stitches, I'm going to stitch 3 single crochets in these 3 stitches. And this is going to cause this to curl up for the tail of our ghost. And we'll stitch 3 double crochets in that last chain. Then we'll join to that next stitch with a single crochet, and you can see that made our little ghost curl. And then we'll single crochet right up the side. And again, we're trying to put our stitches in the stitches. There we go. And there might be an occasion where you have to put it in a hole, but try to put it in the stitches for a much smoother and neater look. And this is for all the sizes. No matter what size bandana you're making, you do this exactly the same. You single crochet down the side, you chain your 7, you make your curl, and then single crochet back up the other side. There we go. And that's how it should look at this point. So now that we've done our trim and our little ghost curl, we need to do our ties. So what we're going to do is I'm going to chain 20 chains. If you're making the small size, you want to do 25. And if you're making it even larger, you can make your ties even longer. So I'm going to chain 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Alrighty. Now we're going to turn and we're going to slip stitch right in that second chain, and then we'll slip stitch back up the entire chain. And this is all sizes. No matter how big or how long you made your tie, this is the way it will work. You're going to slip stitch back up this chain, till we reach back to the bandana. Almost there. All right. Now we're going to slip stitch in each of those stitches across the bandana. So we'll go right in that first stitch where we did our trim, and then we'll go in each of the double crochets across and just slip stitch. Once you have slip stitched across the top of your bandana, you're going to chain 20 or 25 or as many as you need to make the size that you're making. One thing to keep in mind is that you don't want to make your ties too long that they can get caught in the dog's teeth or in their toenails. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 18, 19, and 20. And if you'll notice, let me grab one of these. I don't do the ties real long. I do them so that I can just make a set knot, and then I can slip this right onto my dog's head without having to fumble with tying this every time. But you don't want your strings to hang too long. You don't, like I said, you don't want them getting caught in their teeth or in their toenails. All right, so now that you've chained the amount of chains you want for your tie, let me move my pen so I can read this. We're going to place a single crochet in the second chain from the hook. And then we'll stitch a single crochet in each of these chains, moving across the top of our bandana tie. And what we're going to do is we're going to stitch a single crochet in each of these chains, and then we'll stitch a single crochet across the top of the bandana, and then we'll stitch a single crochet on the other side of the tie. I told you this is going to be super easy and super cute. It's a great alternative than putting a whole costume on your dog and having to wrestle them to the ground to get them to wear it. Although my dogs don't mind wearing costumes, they think it's fun. Alrighty, so I'm back over to my bandana, and now I'm going to just place a single crochet in each of these slip stitches. Looks like I got them a little tight there. There we go. So just to repeat what I'm doing, I stitched a single crochet in the tie moving across. I'm stitching a single crochet in each of the slip stitches that we stitched across the top of our bandana. And then I'll also stitch a single crochet in each of the slip stitches, that we stitched in this side. And this is going to give us a nice sturdy tie. If you are making this for a bigger dog, you may want to make the tie a little bit thicker, and so you can do another row of single crochets if you want to. I suggest for the extra small and the small, or if you made it even smaller, that you only do the one row of single crochet. But if you made it a little bit bigger, your dog's a little more substantial, and you want to make sure that tie's going to hold, you can do another row of single crochet. It's really up to you. All right, almost to the end. I think these little ghosts would be cute made in like a light pink or a light green or a lavender. Wouldn't that be fun? Almost give them like an appearance of glowing in the dark. All right, we're to the end. Our last stitch. And like I said, if you want to add another row of single crochet going across, you can, if you feel like you want your tie to be just a little bit sturdier. I'm going to go ahead and cut that. Tie that off and grab my needle and weave that in. And then I'm going to show you how to make a cute little, maybe scary face. I like silly ghosts, but you might like it to be a little bit more scary. Alrighty. And now my little ghost is ready for its face. I've already made the two eyes. This one's attached, this one is not. And the black yarn is really difficult for you to see. And so I'm going to show you how to do it with this white yarn, and then you can make yours out of the black. Black is just too difficult to try to video. All right, so what we're going to do to make the eyes is we'll make our slip knot, and then we'll chain 3. Make sure you have a little bit of a tail at the beginning because we're going to need that to close the hole. All right, so we're going to go in the second chain from the hook, and we're going to stitch 8 single crochets right in that second chain. And I like to use this technique instead of doing a chain 5 and making a circle, because I don't like it to be too bulky for a little eye. Alrighty. Alright, let's see how many I've made. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's do 2 more. 7 and 8. Alright, once you have your 8th single crochet made, join to that first single crochet with a slip stitch, and then you'll cut your yarn, leaving yourself a long tail for sewing that onto your project. Alright, so we'll go ahead and tie that off, and then we'll take our needle and we'll put the short tail where we started, and we'll go to the back of our project, back of our eye, and we'll close that hole by stitching around those stitches, and we'll gently pull on that as we go around, and it will close that hole. There we go. Close that up. We'll make a few more stitches to make sure that's going to stay. And then we can just cut that off. And that's the way that the eye is made. All right, let me pull this other one over. I've already got one eye attached, and I've got the second eye made. And I'll show you how to attach it. Now, it's up to you where you want to put it. Sometimes I'll put it lower and make a silly face. Sometimes I'll put it higher. Just depends on the kind of face that you're looking for. On this one, I made a silly face. On this one, I made a spooky face. So I put the eyes just a little bit farther apart. So it's up to you where you want to put your eyes. I'm just going to set it right there. Take our needle and just stitch around that eye. And I go forward and then I go back. And I think it kind of just helps it hold its shape. And also makes it pooch up just a little bit to give it just a little bit of a 3D look. Because I'm sort of gathering it, not a lot, just a little. Make it pooch up a little. And I make sure I go all the way around so I catch all those edges. Anything that you put on a dog or a cat that has pieces, you want to make sure everything's attached well, because you don't want it getting caught in their teeth or in their toenails, as I've said before. All right, so there's the little eyes. And what I do, if I'm making this one over here that looks more like a skeleton with a little nose, at this point I'll go ahead, make sure this is attached really well. And then I'll go down and make that nose. And I just do that by making 2 slits. And I try to make sure that I'm going in stitches, not in holes, because if you go in the holes, you might lose your stitches. All right. So there's the nose. And then I'll just come back up here and try to weave that in going through the back only, because we don't want the stitches to show through where we don't want them. All right, and that just makes it so I don't have to attach another piece of yarn. And that's only if you want the nose. If you don't want the nose, go ahead and tie that off. All right, then we're going to grab another piece. And I try to get more than I need, like 18 inches, when I probably only need about 12. I just like to make sure I have more than I need. That way I don't have to attach anymore. All right, let's move that. All right, to make the mouth, what I do is I just sort of eyeball how far down I want it. Do I want it really rounded? Do I want it really close? It's just kind of up to you. And this one I'm going to make scary, so I want to make sure that I have enough room to put those extra stitches. All right, so I'm just going to come down, and again, I'm going in stitches, not holes, because I don't want to lose my stitches that I'm putting on now through the holes. All right, I'm going to kind of eyeball that. So I came up here, so I want to kind of do the same. Then meet that back up. There we go. He looks a little friendly, doesn't he? Let's line that up. All right, so there's a happy smile, right? But we want this guy to be scary. So we're going to make those little stitches, and all you do is just stitch across wherever you want to, however many stitches you want it to have. And of course, if it's for a bigger dog, you're probably going to have a bigger smile than this one, because this is for a small dog. There we go. And again, trying to get those stitches in stitches. And you'll notice I'm going to do something here I don't usually do, but I'm going to make a knot. And you know I like to knot things 3 times. And then I also have a little bit of fabric glue, and I'm going to dot a little piece of fabric glue on there, just a little circle to hold it. And I do that sometimes, especially if I'm making something that I know is going to get moved around a lot and I don't want that knot to come undone. And you can also put a little on the back of the eyes or anywhere on the back that you want to make sure it's going to stay secure. Because a puppy's going to be wearing this and they're going to be running around and it's going to be around their neck and you want it to stay, the pieces to stay put. All right, and that's how you make our scary or silly ghost bandana. Now, to tie the ties, like I said, what I do is I put it around my dog's neck and then I just tie, I guess that's a square knot, just a regular knot like that. And then all I do when they wear it is I just slip it on their head. I don't untie it every time they wear it. All right, so this is a fun alternative to having your dog wear a whole costume. They can just wear a silly or scary ghost bandana. And I think the cats like them too.